All right, let's look at mathematical literacy preparations. Is what do we expect to see in our papers? And this is the discussions about paper one. The discussions about paper one, and paper one is paper one is we expect to see finance. Yeah, we expect to see finance and data handling. Those are the topics that we expect in paper one. Anyway, um, let's start with different types of graphs. This is data handling and different types of graphs. This is data handling. Yeah, graph number one that we see on our left-hand side, it's a bar graph. All right, if they ask for the name, this one we shall say graph number one, we shall call it, and some people call it a vertical bar graph. All right. Then the one that we see, the one we see on the number two here, this one we call it a double bar graph, even though you don't put vertical, because we see it's a vertical simply means they are standing, they are facing upwards, up. All right, that's vertical. Then we come to the other types. Here we have, yes, this is it. Now, this other one here, it's a bar graph, but it's not that much a bar graph. What we call this kind of graph, the graph number three here, it's what we call the stacked what? Bar. It's the stacked bar graph. All right. Why is it stacked? It's because we have different sections and they are on one bar. One is on top of the other. All right. Now then we go on and we say this other side is this is now we can't call this a double bar graph. Number four. It can't be a double bar graph. Why? There are more than two. So this one is called the compound bar graph. All right. These are the types of graphs that we would expect to see there. Okay, then we are still continuing. Now we have what we call the line graph. This is taking number 5. Now both of them are line graphs. All right. Then we have a broken line graph. When is this one usually used? When data is discrete. When data is discrete, or data collected from countable values. Countable. When data collected was or is countable. For example, take a look at necklaces. The number of necklaces, when we are obtaining them, we do not measure. However, we count. We count 1, 2, 3, or they are countable. Whereas this line graph, this one here, it's used when we are looking at continuous. We have continuous data. All right. And how do we get the continuous data? It's measurable. All right. Data is measurable. So you see temperature. For us to know the temperature, we have to measure. Together. It might not be temperature, or we can have what? It's called a distance. It can be height, it can be length, anything measured. You understand? Distance, height, length. Don't forget the weight. You see that? Whereas countable, we have all things, all numbers. We might have desks, school bags, anything that cannot be in a half. a pair of shoes, you know, anything you can't find in halves. Even here, we look at humans. All right. We find humans. So now this is it. So we are saying if it's line like it's dot to dot joined, this is continuous or continuous data. And if it's split broken, if it's broken, then it's discrete data. All right. For the line graph, all right. Whatever we shall always see, whatever we see on the x-axis, we also have the y. We have what we call the independent, and the dependent. These are variables. We shall see them when we look at costs and the income. All right, let's continue. Another type of graph, the last one, I believe. This is a pie chart. Everyone knows it. It's a pie chart. For a pie chart, what you have to remember, if there's any, for example, if this one was missing, I'm just saying, if this one is missing, for you to get the missing value, they are percentages. That means you need to get 100 minus the other degrees that are there. So this would be 100 minus 66. And you end up having your answer as well, 34. So the value of A will be 34. That's how we get it. That's what you have to know. Another thing is that pie charts are used to represent data collected as a whole contribution. You understand? If this part contributes, like the whole, for example, people are contributing from a party, this party is going to be one. So we need to find out how much, how much I've brought this, how much I've brought this, how many people have brought this much, how many people have brought this much as a whole. When they sit together, what do they get as a whole? All right. Okay. Then there's a kind of graph that looks like this. Remember the first one, first one was a vertical. Now this one becomes the horizontal bar, the horizontal bar graph, because it's facing this side. You understand? Vertical, it's the one which is up. The one that faces this side is horizontal. You take note of that. If the graph comes like this, please, you won't get a mark unless when you mention the horizontal. The first one, the normal one that we always know, even though you don't mention, vertical, you get a mark. Now, this one brings us to the finance. Finance, we expect to see income. What is income? This is the amount of money received. Amount received. You might say amount received, amount gained, amount that has come in, income, amount in. You understand? Amount in. And how do we obtain? Income? It's through selling. So the selling price will always determine the income. All right. Then, having got the money in the account, then you start spending. Whatever you spend on, whatever you buy, you are spending. These ones become what? Expenditure, the money that goes out of your account. the money that goes out of your account on the expenditures. It becomes expenses. Or another word for it, it's what? Costs. This has to come in your mind and you'll find out. Here, usually, income and the expense, they will like you to draw the graph for the graph, a graph that will represent, please, the income and expenditure graph, please, they have to be straight. I beg. They have to be straight. There's one that always starts at 0, and there's another one that will always start at a certain value. You understand? One starts at 0. One starts at 0, it continues. The other starts at a certain value here. Now, where it starts from, this amount here, where this graph starts from, remember, by the way, let's first name them. The one that starts from 0, this one that starts from 0, it will always be income. It's the income graph. Why do we say it's the income? Because if you sell nothing, you get nothing. And this other one, it's what we call the cost, or you can name it expense. Expenses. If not, you can say it's what? Expenditure. You understand? Then it starts at a certain value. Then where it starts from, this is what we call the fixed. We call this the fixed what? Cost. If this amount, you spend it even though you've not done anything. For example, if you're going to sell carpets, first and foremost, you need a place where to sell it, to sell them from. You understand? You need money to buy them from that other person. You need money to transport. You understand? But rent will be the one which is so fixed. This one, because you buy them, you have a shop where you're going to sell them, but you need to pay rent. This one won't change. So remember, you are spending all this before you start earning. That's why you call it the fixed amount. The amount you start with, or the compulsory amount that has to be paid, fixed. Okay, now we come. There's a point where these two lines meet. It's not a mistake. It's not a mistake. It's true. Now, the point where they meet, we call it the break-even point. The break-even point. Someone might ask you, explain the break-even point. You would say, the break-even point, it's where income, you have to know this in your head. Income equals to expenditure. Income equals to expenditure. And it is two. Some people say revenue equals to what? To costs. You understand? At this point, what you have to know, at the break-even point, we do not have, at break-even point, we say no profit, no loss. That means you invest 200 and you get 200. There's no profit, there's no loss at break-even point. Then another thing is that it's the point after which one starts making profit. You understand? You see this part here now. There are two triangles. Now, this triangle here represents the profit. And this other triangle down here, this one, it represents what? The loss. It represents the loss. This is what we can say about, this is what we can say about what? About income and expenditure. That's what you have to know. Okay, what about profit? Profit, what do you expect to see in profit? What do you expect to see in profit? It's just to know how it's calculated. profit equals to income minus expenses. So if you get a negative profit, equals to what we call what? A loss. When could a loss happen? When income is less than the expenditure. When you spend too much, and you earn less, definitely you'll get what? A loss. You'll get a loss. Okay, let's look at this. VAT. VAT is another topic that we know very well under taxation. And this one here, it's not wordy, but we have to understand a little bit. VAT, the VAT value, the A stands for added, and the T stands for tax. What I want you to know, this is value added tax. That's that's what VAT stands for, and it's calculated at 15%. Calculated at 15%. Now, having calculated at 15%, not all items, I want you to understand this. Some items, some items have VAT added on them. And the general name that we shall call them VAT or VAT inclusive items. All right. And those, because now if some have VAT added on them, some have VAT added on them, and the other ones without VAT, items without VAT, these without VAT, for them we call them VAT exclusive, VAT exclusive items. VAT exclusive items. All right. Or some others, you find them, they say zero rated items. When you look at your till slip, that's where it usually comes in, but we shall go on and you see. When you look at your till slip, it will show you some till slips, the items that do not have VAT, they have some symbols on them. Others are asterisks, others are hashtags, others are just letters like C, could be A, just to show that these items don't have VAT on them. All right. Now, what we have to know, or what we have to understand, how is VAT calculated? VAT inclusive, VAT exclusive. You understand? Let's see how it's calculated. So, we have at first the item when I'll write this just mean exclusive. It has no VAT. At first, the prices don't have VAT. They are at VAT exclusive. All right. At first, the items don't have any VAT on them, so they are VAT exclusive. So they stand or they sit at 100%. Then, if VAT comes in, that means a 15% has come in. At the end, what was excluding, now it includes VAT, simply meaning it ends up having, how did I get 115? I added, I'm including VAT now. That's why I add 100 plus 15 and I get this much. This has to be remembered when we are dealing with VAT. This has to be remembered when we're dealing with VAT. Now, this table here, we shall deal with it and we shall perform, there's a formula that comes with it, which says what I have, sorry, what I want over what I have times what is given to me. Definitely, it will give me the answer. Let me write it in words. I said what I want over what I have times the given value. It will give me the answer. What do I mean? For example, let's write here an example. An item costs 550 rands. 550 rands, excluding VAT. So they tell you determine, it says determine the value of VAT. So what do I have? I have a price, which is this. This is what is given. This is what is given to me. This is the value that's given to me. But what do I have? I have excluding. What do I want? I want VAT. So I'll come here, what I want over what I have times the given. So what I want the value of VAT. So when I come here, it's what? 15. So I will come and I write 15 from our table here. That's what I want. What do I have? I have the value which is excluding. It's excluding. So I have the 100. I'll bring the 100 times what is given to me. It's this number which is in the scenario. So I'll multiply that. So 15 times 15 times. So when you put it in your calculator, you end up having this much. So this is the value of what? VAT. This is the value of VAT that's going to be charged on that item. What I want over what I have times the given amount. Then let's look at part B. Part B, let me write it here. Part B, let's say they tell us to determine the price including, now this one is done in two ways. The price including VAT. You can now, from what we've seen here, you would only take, you would say, because you already have your VAT here and the price, so you would only say 550 plus the VAT now that I have. What am I doing? I'm including. See that? 550 plus H2 comma. So here you see the answer, it becomes what? That is the answer. All right. Or Another thing that we would say, another one, we're going to use our formula here. I'm using this one here because I first got the value of that. So what about if we use this other method of ours that we are talking about, the new method of ours, the method which will say what I want over what I have times given gives me the answer. Remember our answer was what? 600. Our answer, put it aside here, it says 632.50. This is what we got after adding. So what do I want? I want including. That's what I want because determine the price including. So that's what I need. The answer should be including. So when I say including is here. So what percentage do I take? I take 115. Please do not include this percentage sign. So I'll say 115. What do I have? Based on this question here, I have excluding, which is already what? 100. So I'll come 100 times what's given to me. What is given to me? 550. So here the answer becomes, I believe you have the same answer. Yes. So of those methods, you pick one that you want to use. You pick one that you want to use. Yes, this method here will help you. This method here will help you when you're determining the bet value of the price that already includes VAT. All right. So let's see. Example number 2. Hopefully we finish this very fast. Example number 2, we are going to have a price that already includes VAT, and we want to remove the VAT, and we need to remove the VAT, then also to know the VAT, how much VAT was added. All right. This is example number 2. Example number 2 says, James bought an item worth so now if they tell you, if the question comes like this, if the question comes and they've just told you James bought an item worth 632.50 cents, definitely the moment if the item, they didn't tell you that it does not include VAT or whatever, now this price in actual sense in real life, this one already what? They don't need to put including. I'm giving an example. When you go to Pick and Pay to buy something, the price you find on the shelf is the same price you pay at the till. However, when you get the till slip, under there, you will see that they have charged you VAT. Yet the price remained the same. You understand? That means the VAT is already counted on that what? Price. So James bought an item and it cost him this much. So this means this price already includes VAT. So part A, they're asking us, determine the value, the value of VAT. Determine the value of VAT. We are going to use the same formula of ours. We are going to use the same formula. The formula that I've already told you about, which says what you want over what you have times the given should give you the answer. Now you have to analyze. The given is this one, or is the value that's given to you, it's the given one. But in your head, you know, okay, they never told me to exclude. That means it includes. You understand? Just like us having negative values. Negative values will always have a negative sign. But positive values, we don't always write what? Positive. We don't put the plus. Even though you don't have the plus, we just say we know it's a positive. Okay. So now this value, so what we're given value is this much. And what I have, it's what? Including. Okay. So I will say, what I want the value of vet. So I'll come here. Oh, okay, I need vet. I'm here. I need vet. So I will take what I want is 15. Then over what I have, what do I have in this box? What do I have? I have the value including, I have the including part of it. So I'll take this this number here, 115. Now times what is given. Whatever is given is always in the scenario. So it's the amount in the scenario, which is 632 rands and 50 cents. Do that for me. Use your calculator and you'll end up having this. 15 divided by 115 times 632, comma. Oh, our vet, it's this much. Those ones who are following, you see that now we are working backwards. Okay. Now, part B. Part B, they might ask us, determine the price excluding. Now they're telling you excluding what? VAT. That means you exclude, you remove the VAT value. So what are we going to do? What do I have? Oh, sorry, what do I want? I want exclude. I want this now in part B. So what I want the 100 over. What do I have? What I have already, I told it was including, which was this much. So I put 115 times what is given. Whatever is given, it's in the scenario. So we shall do that. And when you do this, you end up having 550. Those ones who have been following, remember very well that this is where we started from. You understand? I've showed you how we work backwards. All right, let's look at what we call water tariffs. Water tariffs. Water tariffs, it's a system used to calculate the cost you will pay for the water you have used. You understand? They use this system as you see it. So this system here, this system is used, but then what you do first is to find out how many kiloliters do you need in each. Now, this table here already tells you the free kiloliters are 6. Beyond the 6, you start paying. Oh, this is 6 for the people who are the indigenous people. Eh? Okay. Then 1 to 6, still these ones will be 6 kiloliters. Eh? Then from 7 to 15, it's going to be 9. Someone's going to ask me, no, it's supposed to be 6. Sorry, it's supposed to be 8. No. Actually, the simple term is to ignore these parts here. And you remain with. So if you need the first one, it's 6. The next one is going to be 15 minus the 6, whereby you get the 9. So this next one is going to be 30 minus 15. You get 15. Maximum kiloliters in each block. So 45 minus, you get 15. 60 minus, you get 15. And here we don't have because it's not ranging. It's 65 and above, like it's still right. It's continuing. Okay. Now they might ask you, how do you call this? This is called the, 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 this is called the sliding scale. Why is it a sliding scale? The amount used, sorry, amount per liter, they keep what? Increasing. And they're asking you, why do they use a sliding scale? We use a sliding scale to minimize, minimize, minimize the water wastage or water usage, but mainly wastage. You understand? So because the more you use, the more you pay. Okay, let's have an example. Someone called Sithe used, the person used, let's say, 28 kiloliters. Determine how much they paid. How much they paid. So how do we determine this? Now, this kiloliters the person used, the kiloliters the person used, they have to go through all the blocks. All right. So we shall say, first and foremost, 28. We put it in block number 1. But block number 1 is uncomfortable because for it only takes 6. What we do, we come and remove 6 kiloliters. We leave them in block number 1. You understand? But if they're in block number 1, guys, I'm going to only use July. I'm using this one here. I'm not worried about this. I'm using 2020, 2021 calculation. So I'm using this one here for you to understand. So if we remove the 6, we need to pay for those 6. How much is it here? It's 17. So we come, 28 minus 6, you're remaining with 22. It has been pushed to the next bracket. The bracket number 2 is not as uncomfortable with 22. Why? It's too much for it. For it needs 9. So we shall say 9 kiloliters. We remove the 9 kiloliters and we pay for them. So 9 times 22. So if you have reduced by 9, 22, what do you remain with? You remain with 13. 13 has been pushed to block number 3. Sorry, number 4. Yeah? Third, it's right here. So we have used that, we've used that. What about this? So we shall say this one, it's in block number 3, but block number 3 it needs a maximum of 15. Or you've got 13. So it will be 13 times the money that you see here, which is what? 28. Here we have the answers there. So we have 6 times 17, which gives you 102. Then we have 9 times 22, we have 198. Then 13 times 28, where we have 364. We add them up. We add them up and we get the answer. We get 664. This is the amount. But remember, when you're paying, you have to include VAT. Yet the prices, they're telling us they exclude. So what we do, we always need to include. How do we include? We multiply by 1,15. Whenever we are including, we can multiply by 1,5. And the answer became all right. That's how we deal with water tariffs. Let's look at the electricity. Electricity also works the same way. However, for electricity, usually, the moment you see that there's a C, that means you need to change this money into rands. And cents to rands, always divide by 100. So let's say someone called Tamale uses 450 kilowatts of electricity. So we need to know how much. Determine the cost. So we shall say 400. By then, still, as you see, this actually, these ones have already told us, you see, from 0 to 50, 50 kilowatts. 51 to 350, 300. How do you get the 300? All we do is to ignore the left-hand side. That means that 350 minus, you get this. So 600 minus, you get that. So we shall start and say, so the 450 minus the 50. But the 50 is going to multiply by 115, comma, 24. Then you come back up and you say, you're remaining with 400, remember? So it's 400. 400 has been pushed block number 2. But block number 2 needs a maximum of 300. So we are remaining with 300. 300 times. How much money is that? 154, 36. So remember, the person used 450. So you're remaining with 100. 100 has been pushed to block number 3, but block number 3 needs a maximum of 250. So the 100 will be so the 100, it has put us here, whereby we shall multiply by 227,88. Remember, all these are cents, ne? So you get your answers there. After getting them, you divide it by 100. The cost they never talked of whether it excludes or includes. If they don't talk of including or excluding, leave it the way it is. So let's see, and you see 50 times 118, comma 24, you get 5912. We have 300 times 154, whereby you get 46,308. Here we have 100 times 207.7, and we have it as so. Let's add them up. 46308 plus 22788 plus 5912. So the answer here is 75,008. Divide this by 100 to make it runs. So this is our answer. Yes, this brings us to interest. What I want you to know, interest is both and it's both paid. The one which is earned, it becomes an income because you're earning it from your investment. The one that you pay over a loan, over the car, over a house, this becomes an expense. It becomes an expense, which is what? Cost. All right. When is it? When you take a loan. When you start earning it, when you make an investment, when you invest. That's interest. So we look at simple interest. How is it calculated? Interest is calculated in simple interest, in simple interest and the compound interest. What you have to know, simple interest will be used. The value remains the same throughout the period. You understand? For every month, that amount will be earning that much interest. Then, what you have to know, it's used in higher, the kind of interest in higher purchase. It's a simple interest. All right, it remains the same. Compound, this is the accumulated every period. This one does not say the same, not the same. Compound interest, it's not the same. And it has what we call the exponential. I'll show you how we do it. For example, okay, let me start with simple interest and higher purchase. Simple interest, we might have someone invests, let's say 5,000 at 5% simple interest. No. Let's say 5% per annum, which is PA. This is per year. Simple interest. For 3 years. 5% at simple interest for 3 years. Now they ask you, determine the investment or the total investment. Actually, if they say total investment, that is at the end of the period. Now this period is 3 years. So how are you going to do it in simple interest? Simple interest, what you're going to do, you say the money the person invested times the percentage. Here you're looking for interest only. So this one gives you around 250. You get 250. Now, this is only in 1 year. Since we said it does not change, it's the same. So we shall say, what about in 3 years? We shall multiply by 3, whereby we end up having 750. Now, this is the total interest plus the money the person invested. So at the end of the day, the person has got this much money after 3 years. After 3 years. So now this is the total investment. Total investment. Total investment. All right, now hire purchase. Let's take an example of hire purchase. Hire purchase. One says he wants an equipment. This hire purchase usually happens in appliances, right? Someone wants an equipment. If it's at cash money, the equipment is 7,500 cash. But on hire purchase, on hire purchase, on hire purchase, one who deposits or you deposit 12%. And the balance paid with let's say 10% interest. Now, the interest in hire purchase, if you say what kind of interest is it? Simple interest, right? But then the difference with simple interest and hire purchase, you have cash and you have cash money and you have deposit. So for you to get the money the person will pay over a period of, let's say, interest over 4 years. Over 4 years. So now the interest the money that will carry interest is the balance after removing the deposit. So we shall always say balance, or we're going to get the balance. We shall get the cash money minus the deposit of 12%. Please don't subtract only 12%. 12% of that money. 12% of that money is removed or is paid in the beginning. In the beginning, it's paid in the beginning. So we are looking for 12% times that money. So this is the balance. That is the balance. After removing 900. So 12% of that is what? 900. Now this is the money that's going to carry interest. So they ask you, how much will it be at the end of the period? What are you going to do? You will come, carry your interest, multiply by the money there. You end up having 660 times 4, which gives you 2,640. 2,640. This is the interest plus the money now. Oh, okay, yeah. How much will it cost at the end of the 4 period? So plus the money that has been carrying interest. It has paid you've paid this much. So if they ask you to give it monthly installment, do you know what it will be? It will be, or we divide this by 48, which is 4 times 12. Where do we get the 12 from? The 12 months. Actually, it's monthly, and each year has 12 months, yet there were 4 years. So we divide this by 48. So every month, the person has to pay 192.50 per month. That's hire purchase. What I want you to understand with hire purchase, please, you need to look for the balance. This interest the interest. Okay. Sometimes if there's no deposit, yes, it will affect everything. You understand? But if you hear deposit, you have to first remove the deposit. You get the balance. After getting the balance, then you calculate a simple interest and you get your final answer. Okay. Yeah, let's look at what simple interest, sorry, compound interest here. Compound interest matches or it goes hand in hand with what we call inflation. The money increases every money increases every given period. For example, if they tell you it's compounded annually, if it's compounded annually, that means the money is going to increase every year. If it's compounded half yearly, it's going to increase twice a year. Every half a year, the money goes up. If they say compounded quarterly, that means it's going to increase four times in 1 year. Okay, let's take examples. Yeah, let's say examples. Yeah. If you're told one invests 12,000 at 2% per annum compound. Actually, they usually say compounded annually. Compounded yearly or for 3 years. So they ask you to say or determine the amount at the end of the period. What I want you to know, what I want you to know is that this, you're going to have 3 steps manually. 3 steps manually. I'm going to write it here. Now, what I want you to know, if it's compounded, let me calculate the compound interest here. We are saying compound. The question from down here. So the person will, so we shall say, because there are 3 years. So first year, the person will take, or you say 2 over 100 times the money. And this brings in an interest of 200 and what? 240. Let's say first year. So this is the interest plus the money the person what? Invested. So at the end of the first year, the person has 12,240. What about the second year? Second year, we shall say the same money which is there in the first year, the end, it's not that we bring, but the percentage remains. So it's 2% times the money which is there at the end of the first year. Let me see. So here the interest is 244.80 cents. Then add on the so you get this. This is at the end of what? Second year. We are remaining with 1 year, which will make our life easy, which is this. So we shall say 2 same percentage times. Now the money from, it's what we say, we shall take so here the interest is this much. $0.70. 70 cents plus the money that we invested. The money that we are dealing with has to be carried around. So here at the end of the third year, the person will have this much money. Now, if they ask you the total investment at the end of the year, this will be the final answer. Please don't go on carrying these ones. These ones are, because you remember we've been using them, they've been carrying on. So this is the final answer. And I think if they ask you for interest, so it's you get this minus the money that the person initially what invested. So the interest there to be that much. Another method of doing the same, we have another method whereby we shall use the percentage like that one of inflation, and does not take a lot of space, by the way. So simple. You go straight to the answer. All right. I'll show you two more methods and we shall call it a day on compound interest. Compound interest. So another method, you would do this. You get the 2%, which is the interest. So you shall get 100% plus the 2%. You end up having 0, so these ones are percentages. Divide them by 100. So it becomes 1,02. So if you're to look for the first year, it will be that percentage times the money that the person invested. You will see that you will still get the same answers. Then, the second year, these are years, it will be 1,02 times 1, 2, 2, 4. You see that you still get the same answer. We have this, and it's still the one that we got for the second year in our first calculation. So the third year now, we shall say this one does not split the interest. It gives you the final answer. It gives you the final answer. This answer, you see that it's the same as the one that we have here. So it's upon you to pick one. Or another one would have been, actually, yeah, that the two ones that I'm showing you need to know this, that you need to first get it, how we get it. The other one, it would have been the 12,000 times this percentage that we've just created 3 times, because it's 3 years. It's this times that times that. You still, this one will take you straight away. You still get the same answer, same marks as the person who has used the first one. Still get the same mark. So we have that. We have this one here. And we also had the first one that we dealt with. It's upon you to pick which function you will use. That's compound interest. All right, bank charges. When you look at bank charges, there's a this table is used to calculate the bank charges in the on the bank statement or in banks. All right. bank charges. The question that you might expect, or the question you here you expect to see a bank statement, maybe the bank charge table, or you might be given a certain scenario to show how the bank charge was determined or determine the bank charge. Anyway, let's look at this scenario here. If someone deposits, let's say someone deposits, the person deposits 5,000 at the ATM. All right, let me see. Deposit ATM over the counter or ATM. Then B at the counter. So we need to determine the bank charges. We're going to determine the bank charges. So what you're going to do for me, deposits, they are here. Cash over the counter, no? I'll start with the ATM. If the person deposits this much at the ATM, how much will they be charged? So we shall come here, cash at ATM, you see that? How much is the charge? It's, so A, the answer becomes 6 Rand 50 cents. What about at the counter? If the person deposits the money at the counter, first and foremost, they need to pay the 9 Rand 50 cents. You add on 2.5% of the money deposited. This is what it simply means. Please, you read through. I'm not saying that the table will look like this, but you can read the table and you find out. All right. So we go in and we say, so the person was charged. Now the question might come in, why do you think they are charged more when they use the counter than when they use the ATM? Number one, they want to encourage people to use the ATMs. You understand? They want to encourage people to use the ATMs, whereby they reduce on the congestion inside the bank. Number two, inside the counter, you are not using a machine, you're using a human being who is paid. So they have to get paid for the services what they render. That's number two. That's why inside is expensive than using the ATM. Yes, we look at the percentages. Percentages, what I want you to know, that for you to get a percentage, you need a fraction that you will always multiply with 100. So we need a fraction, which is what? A numerator. Numerator over a denominator times 100. A numerator over denominator times 100. That's what you have. That's what you always know. Okay? This is what you should always know. This is when you're converting to percentages. Now, what about percentage of something? For example, 20% of 40 rands. So simple. This is the moment the number that has a symbol is the one that's supposed to be over 100. Then you multiply the other number. You end up getting your answer as 8. So 20% of 40 is 8. What about I know expressing a percentage of something over another? It's this one here. We have percentage of percentage thereafter. No, what percentage was yes? Yeah, that is it. Percentage of. Oh, another one is to determine the missing value. To determine the missing value, what do I mean by that? They say, okay, they say a certain percentage of 50 rand, it gave them the percentage of 50 rand, it gave them 30. What percentage is it? You understand? A percentage. So that means so this percentage is missing. So what you have to do is which becomes 50 over A, and we get this. This 100 multiplied this side, we get what? Divide through that by that. This goes with that, so this is missing. This goes with that. 300 is missing. You end up having 60. That means it's 60 what? 60%. All right, collecting data. The methods that we use to collect data, we say we have the interview one. Interview, then you can use a questionnaire. The other method is called observation. Observation. We have what we call the group discussion. A group of people, then you start sharing ideas. You can also send, questionnaires are both electronic or hard copy. They might ask you, well, would you prefer using a hard copy or a soft copy? Mailing. Nowadays, we have some apps that create questionnaires, you know? Ascending. This is from small to big. And descending, it's big to small. Take note of that. Lowest, lowest to highest. Whereas here we have highest to lowest. Okay, the other one is what we call the central tendencies, central measures of tendency. Central measures of tendency. We start with median. Median, we know it's not the easiest, but it's okay. The middle value in an arranged set of data. Now, if you find out, for example, if you find out that there are no, like, two numbers remain in between, you add them and you divide by 2 if two numbers remain. But if only one number that remains, it's fine. All right? Median, we can't expect to say no median. Then mode, the number that appears what? Most. Number that appears most. Now, here we cannot say mode is 0. If there's no mode, we can't say mode is 0. What do we say? We say no mode, or we say none, but don't say mode is 0, because 0 is a value. Then how do we get mean? Mean, we add all the values. Add all the values. And we divide by the total number of values that we've added. If you added 7 numbers, you divide by 7. If you added 8 numbers, you divide by 8. If you added 18, you divide by 18. All right. What about range? Range is not central tenders. This one's a measure of spread. And range, you shall always get it as the highest value minus the lowest value. Frequency table, you know it very well. Here we look at frequency table. We look at what? Tallies. Please, tallies. If you have 5 in tallies, right? Please. So if there are 10, 2 of them. Don't count 10 and you put one line. No. Each 5. You understand? That means if there are 18, you will have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. That's 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 15. 18. 1, 2, 3. Tallies. You remember this. This is a frequency table. Okay. Probability. Probability is a chance something does what? A chance something happens. It's either in decimals, it's either fractions, or you can leave it as a percentage. If it's in fractions, please always give it in the simplified form, simplest form. What do I mean by that? You have a probability which is 6 over 9. This one can be reduced by 3. So the probability will become 2 over 3. 2 over 3. This marks the end of our discussion. Please, you go through your papers. I wish you the best.